Yes. Okay guys, today I'm going to prepare lasagna, and before anyone says anything, obviously it's not going to be traditional, it's going to be my version, not too different from a normal traditional lasagna. For the meat I have some beef and pork. I don't have any veal. You can't actually, I haven't seen veal in the supermarkets for forever. I'm sure you can buy it still from the butcher, but I don't have access to it, so I just use pork and beef, same equal amount. For the base I'm going to use onions, carrots and celery and some garlic. And what I'm gonna do, I'm going to, for the first time ever, I've never tried this, I'm going to cook the ragu in a pressure cooker, because normally if I do ragu I cook it for about 5-6 hours on a very low heat. But today I'm going to try my new pressure cooker and see if I can cut down the cooking time. So right now it's about 4:30. It sounds a bit unrealistic, but I'm going to try to create a lasagna with fresh pasta in about 1.5 hours from scratch. What I'm going to start with is going to be the pasta dough, so the pasta can rest for a short time. I'm going to make a whole, well, for us this is going to be a large amount of lasagna. I'm going to use this dish. This is going to make me about 8 portions. It's only the two of us, so I'm going to give some to my friends, and I'm going to freeze a couple of portions as well. For that I'm going to measure 300 grams of flour, which is quite a lot. Maybe I would be okay with 200, but I'd rather have some pasta left than not enough pasta for the lasagna. And what I'm also going to do is what I've done many times before. I'm going to do the pasta dough, but I'm not actually going to cook it. So there are different methods to do lasagna, and I've tried everything really. I've tried pre-made pasta, I've tried fresh pasta, I've tried to cook off the pasta, I've tried without cooking it off and just basically layering is what I'm going to do today. The pasta with the ragu and the bechamel, and bake it that way, so your pasta is getting cooked anyway. And I haven't actually found that much difference, so that's what I want to do today. And I'm using a pasta flour, 00 grade, strong flour. I've got my 300 grams of flour, and I'm going to add 3 eggs to it, and I'm using some beautiful free-range eggs. And as a general rule of thumb, I normally use 1 egg per 100 grams of flour. Okay, so this step is done. I'm just going to mix up everything and make my pasta dough. Again, as you can see my technique, I'm not Italian, I'm not following the proper Italian rules of making pasta dough, but I think as long as everything has been incorporated, and by that I mean the eggs have been incorporated with the flour, the result is going to be identical. So I'll just mix everything together and work out the dough, and then I'm going to let the dough rest. And the next step is going to be to make the ragu. Okay, my pasta dough is starting to take a shape, but there is still more work. But you can see how the flour absorbs all the eggs, and you might ask yourself, like, T, why the hell are you doing a lasagna video? There are 6 million lasagna videos already on YouTube, and the answer is I just want to inspire people to cook at home more. Lasagna is relatively simple dish to make, but sometimes it's just easier to buy it in a supermarket already done, but it's never going to be as tasty as the one you make at home. Now the dough is still quite wet, but I'm going to leave it to rest after a bit more kneading, and then it's going to be perfectly good to work with it. And the more I work with the dough, it's starting to be less and less sticky because the flour is getting hydrated by the eggs. So my pasta dough is getting, you can see how the dough rips, so it's not a shiny smooth surface. So I'm just going to work on it a bit more, and when I get to that stage, then I can stop kneading. You can already see a difference, how the surface is getting smoother and smoother. And as you know, I'm going to leave this video long. I'm not trying to cut too much out, so you can see how long it actually takes you. I could edit this video into a 2-minute video. This is how you make lasagna from scratch. Cut, 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 done. But I don't think that's realistic enough. Maybe it's inspiring, but you're not gonna try, I don't think, if you know that it takes an hour and a half, but I can actually show you how easy it is, and that's an easy hour and a half. I think that should be more inspiring than to see a minute of quick cuts. It's a bit unrealistic in my eyes. So my pasta dough is kind of done. I'm going to leave it to rest. So I'm just going to cling film the bowl, or you can cling film the pasta itself. It doesn't really make such a big difference. Both ways are fine. Actually, I'm going to cling film the pasta itself. Okay, so pasta dough is done. The next step is to rehydrate with some lovely Italian beer. Cheers everybody, nice. And to start my ragu. Okay, so let's turn on the induction to high heat. I'm just going to slice my onions quite finely, not super fine, but fine. And I'm going to add some olive oil. Yeah, I'm quite generous with olive oil today. I can start to add my onions. Again, just the usual technique. Guard your fingers by grabbing whatever you slice like this, and your nails are going to protect your fingers. Okay, that's the onions done. Next is going to be the celery. And I'll just do the same to the celery as I did to the onions. Now my celery is not as fine as my onions, so what I'm going to hold the tip of the knife. I'm going to hold with my left hand, or if you're right-handed, just move it around. So I'm going to hold the tip of my knife, and I'm just going to chop. Or you can go this way as well, whatever suits you. Okay. But to be honest, I'm not too worried about if there are any thicker pieces. So normally if I would cook ragu, as I mentioned, I cook it for 5-6 hours on a low heat without the pressure cooker, and you can't identify any celery or carrot or anything, just melts away completely. And I'm hoping for the same results from the pressure cooker. And of course, if you don't feel like chopping, you can always use a machine to chop everything up for you, but I prefer to chop and slice everything by hand if I can and if I have the time for it. Okay, that's good to start with. have you tried my favorite? Lasagna? No, he says, yeah, my favorite is the lasagna. Or something. Anyway, so that's my carrots done. So I'm just going to cook off the base quick. On the way. Quite exciting about this new pressure cooker. And I'm going to add some garlic as well. You know what? Why not? Let's use the microwave method. And again, I've got some beef and pork. Fatty pork and not too fatty beef. This is funny. So with the beef mince and I think the lamb, you can buy mince in just a vacuum pack rather than buying it in a plastic. With pork, you have to buy it from plastic. Weird. And how is my garlic doing? Garlic is done. If you leave it in too long, like I just did, then it actually cooks the garlic as well. But it still tastes like garlic, but it's hot. So that's a large amount of garlic, but I like my garlic. So I just chop everything up. Again, because the garlic is cooked already, because I put it in the microwave and it's been in there for about a minute, I can just puree it. And that's it. Put it to the base. Nice. Nice little caramelization is going on. Lovely. Let's see if the extraction makes any difference. Or I'll just open the window. Wow. Lovely autumn day today. Nice. All right. The next step is going to be me adding the meat. So you can't actually see much, but let's see. So I just cooked off the mirepoix. I'm happy with that. I'm going to add my beef mince and my pork mince. And we are about 15 minutes in, 20 so far. I'll just fry or saute these up as well. at this step, so basically I just want to saute or fry the mince sauce so that I don't end up with big lumps of meat. So that's my mince separated. I'm going to add a bit of salt and pepper to it. Let's see. Salt and pepper. Lot of pepper, I like my pepper. Okay, I'm just going to turn up the heat to the maximum. Oh yes, it smells amazing already. So I've worked with a lot of Italian chefs, and what I've noticed is that they don't use too many herbs or spices. They always are very minimalistic in terms of herbs and spices, and just focus on the base flavor. But me being a Hungarian, we love oregano and basil, and for us Italian food is not actually authentic Italian food because we over season everything, and I'm going to do that kind of as well because that's what I've grown up with. And this might be offensive to Italians, it shouldn't be, but that's just the way things are. You can get nice and authentic Italian food in Italy, but don't expect to have authentic Italian food cooked by a chef by another nationality, you know. Just like I did with my paella video the other day. I've mixed seafood with chorizo, and straight away I have set at least a few Spanish people because they never mix seafood with chorizo, but I like seafood with chorizo, so you know, don't judge me. I'm quite happy with my mince at this point, and what I'm gonna do, I'm just going to add some red wine. I'm going to reduce the red wine, and at that point I'm going to add my passata and the tomatoes. So the meat is being salted, so the ragu has been started. The next step is to make a white sauce. It's not going to be a perfect bechamel sauce, so yeah, that can cook away in the back. For my white sauce slash bechamel, it's not going to be bechamel because I'm not doing a classic French routine of adding cloves to a onion and then cook that in the milk and all that. I'm just going to make a white sauce, if you like. Is there measurement in here? Yes. So I'll use about 100 grams of butter to start with. I'm going to use the same flour because it's been out already. At this point I can probably... Wait, what you doing in here, mate? Nice, well, I can close the window so it's not going to be too noisy. I live very near to Heathrow Airport, hence why you can hear airplanes flying by. So I'm just melting my butter, which I'm going to add flour to. I'll cook the flour out, make a basic roux. I'm going to add milk to it. and that's something I don't do either. So classic bolognese sauce, they add milk to, which I never do, and I'm sure it's pretty much the same as adding double cream or to make it more creamy, but I've never done it. Even when I used to work in an Italian restaurant, maybe the chefs were not from Bologna, and that's why they haven't added milk to the ragu. But I won't do it either, because it's not something I used to do. I'm sure it's nice, but for me it's just not necessary at this point, especially making lasagna, where I'm going to add white sauce and some double cream as well. So I'll just add some flour. I didn't measure it, but I'm looking for a thick liquid sort of consistency. Perfect. So I don't know if you can see it from the video. I hope you can see, but this is the consistency I'm looking for. It is normally 1 to 1, so I've probably added about 100 grams of flour. I can measure that later. And I'm just going to cook the flour off, not on a very high heat, just to make sure to cook the flour out, so it's not going to taste raw. And at this point, let's see. So you can see that some of the red wine has been evaporated. At this point I'm going to do a seasoning test, see if it needs a bit more salt and pepper, and it does. And you will notice that for this dish I'm not going to add any stock cubes or anything like that. This dish doesn't need it. What I am going to add, and it's probably not very traditional, is instead of just normal tomato puree, I'm going to use sun-dried tomato puree, so that is going to enhance the flavor even more. So I'm going to add it now. I use a whole tube, and that's something we used to do as well when I used to work in Italian restaurant. For every kilo of meat, we used to add a whole big tin of tomato, so that's about 2 kilos of tomato for 1 kilo of meat, obviously to spread the meat. But today I'm going to add passata. Always rinse. Okay. At this point I need to stir my flour before it burns. And I'm going to add 3 tins of whole tomatoes. Of course, if I can open it, that is. Yeah, that's not gonna stop me. And this is interesting, and I don't normally use whole tomatoes. And I was watching this video, and the guy is like, okay, if you buy whole tomatoes, you know that you're actually getting the whole tomato. If you buy chopped tomatoes, which I normally do, you get all the end bits and all that. And it made me think, and it's actually right. Okay, so I'm just adding 2 so far. See if I'm not exceeding my limit of how much I can add in the pressure cooker. And trying to multitask. So the flour has reached the color that I was looking for, and at this point I'm going to add whole milk to my flour. And to avoid lumps, you should always add cold to hot or boiling hot to boiling hot. And that's about it. And I use the whole milk. Well, that's whole milk in the UK, which is 3.5% fat, I believe. Yes, 3.5%. So that's what they call whole milk in the UK. And I've been away so long from Hungary that I don't remember what whole milk is in Hungary, but I'm pretty sure it's about the same. So I just rinse the first two tins that I've added, 1 and 2. So all the tomatoey goodness are out. Let's see, what's the maximum amount I can put in this. And again, I would cook this from this stage. I would cook it for about 5 to 6 hours on a low heat. But today I'm going to try to reduce the time drastically by using a pressure cooker. So the maximum is there, so I can add my last tin tomato to this safely. That's it. A bit more water to rinse. Okay, done. And at this point I'm going to add some thyme, and I'm going to add some oregano, just like this, so I can take it out. And when the dish is almost done, then I'm going to add some basil. So I just tasted it. It needs a bit more salt for sure. And some pepper as well. Okay, let's just mix that in. And here we go. This is a new adventure for me. I'm going to add the lid. Exciting. Okay, lid goes on. It's being turned on to the maximum. Hopefully I'm not going to burn it. Now I can focus on my white sauce, which I'm going to also season with black pepper and salt. And actually, instead of adding cheese to the layers when I do the lasagna, I just add some cheese to the white sauce, and that's gonna be enough. Okay, now I can tidy up. I don't actually need my chopping board anymore. Yeah, so I'm going to tidy up and see you in a couple of minutes. Okay, I just tidied up. My white sauce is on a low heat, and just slowly bring it to the boil. And as you can probably see, there are no lumps, so I've done a good job. Let's see here. Let's see if I need to adjust the flavor. Oh, that's pretty nice. More salt for sure. And then, as I said, I'm not going to add separate layers of cheese. I'm just going to use some red Leicester, which I have at home, to add to the white sauce. So basically I'm making a cheese sauce, if you like. But with lasagna, I don't think the cheese is the most important thing. The most important thing is the ragu and the pasta. I can increase the heat because I'm next to the dish and I can concentrate on it. But if you try to multitask, just lower the heat, buy some time for yourself. Don't worry about burning things down. And now it's 5:15, so actually I'm quite on track. I was aiming to be ready by 6, and depending on the pressure cooker, I think I'll be able. Can I add a bit more cheese to this? And that's about it. But it's like with cheese, I'm pretty sure that I'm pretty sure that Italians don't use cheddar cheese at all in the lasagna. I find it that most people put way too much cheese in the lasagna, and I don't think it's necessary, but I'm sure there will be someone to correct me in the comments section. But for me, my preference, this much cheese is plenty enough. Yes. Okay, that's nice. Okay. I was getting worried that it burned down, but it didn't. Okay, so I hopefully saved a couple of hours by cooking this in a pressure cooker. I'm just going to get rid of all the thyme and the oregano, and then I'm going to layer up my lasagna and bake it off. Okay, yeah, it definitely works. For me it needs more salt. I think I do it too salty. So I just add some salt. Okay, salt is added. I'm going to remove all the stalks from the thyme and the oregano. And I still have 20 minutes to reach my goal. I don't think I will, but it's going to be close. So my pasta dough has been resting for a long while. It looks quite sticky, which means that I haven't actually added enough flour to the eggs, even though I used 100 grams of flour to an egg, which I normally do. The eggs probably were bigger than usual. So I'm just going to dust the surface with some flour, like so. And I'm going to roll out the pasta and start to build my lasagna with fresh pasta without cooking. And I'm sure this is not traditional, so don't be upset. I know this works, and I know that the end result is still going to be amazing. So I'm just going to roll out the pasta. So my setup is obviously far from perfect, but I'm going to make it work. Just flour the pasta. Okay, first phase. Now second phase is going to be thinner, and I'm aiming for the same length, which I can always adjust. So I can go now halfway. This dish is not going to be as authentic as a proper Italian chef's recipe, but I'm not trying to be an Italian chef. I'm a Hungarian chef, so I do know that the end result is going to be awesome, and I'm happy with that. So I'm just going to go to the thinnest setting to my pasta machine, and I'm going to put all my pasta through, and then I can start to build my lasagna. This is a bit too long. I'm going to cut it in half. I'll do the same with this one. Alright, add a tiny bit of olive oil to the bottom of the dish, like so. And I will add my first layer of pasta. And again, I know this is not traditional, but I also know that this works, because I've done it many times before. You can, if you choose, you can cook the pasta off now. But if you don't, or if you don't have the time, it's perfectly fine as well. So I have my ragu and my white sauce, which I've added cheese to. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to add a layer of cheese at the moment. I'm going to add a layer of the white sauce to start with. Spread it. And I'm going to add another layer of pasta on the top of that. raw pasta, and I'm going to add some of the ragu. Okay, that's done. And I'm going to add more layers of pasta, and I'm basically just going to continue what I've done so far. Just added a bit more flour because my dough is a bit sticky. So basically, as I said, I normally use 100 grams of flour to 1 egg, but that obviously depends on the size of the egg. And in this case, the egg was obviously slightly bigger than medium, so my pasta dough has become a slightly too moist, but there's nothing that I can adjust. Okay. This is the beauty of working with fresh pasta, is that you can adjust the pasta size to your liking and to your needs. At this point I'm going to add another layer of the white sauce. Yeah, that's about it. And then some more pasta. And what I would normally do if I would use dry pasta is to build the layers in a separate way. So you build one layer this way and you build another layer this way. That's going to give structure to your lasagna as well. Okay. Okay, more ragu. And as you can notice, I'm not adding any cheese in between. And the ragu is saucy enough to cook off the raw pasta as well. That's done. I've got 2 more pasta. All right. Okay guys, so this will be the last layer of the layer before we finish. For this I'm going to use a bit of the ragu, but also the white sauce. And I have tiny bit more pasta dough left, so I'm just going to roll it out again and try to create my last layer of pasta. Well, I haven't quite succeeded. I should have probably used 400 grams of flour, but I just go with what I have. So this is my last layer. But don't forget that pasta is going to expand as it cooks. So you can see I've been missing the outer layers. And I'll just add some more ragu and some white sauce. Okay, this actually looks quite nice. Okay, I'm going to bake this for about 20 minutes. Alright, so I've been baking my lasagna for about 20 minutes ish. Let's see the result. Whoa! Looks amazing. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. At this point, I'm going to add some more cheese. And if you remember, I said I don't really add too much cheese to my lasagna, and I stand by it. I don't think it needs too much cheese. I think too much cheese makes it too heavy. But I will add some cheese to the top, and I'm going to add some parmesan when I'm going to serve it. So I just add a tiny bit more cheese. Put it back to bake slightly longer. Let's see how we're doing. Obviously, doing this makes not much sense as I've been using fresh pasta, so I won't find any raw pasta when I put my knife through. but still, it's just a habit. Oh yes. So as you remember, everything was made from scratch. Pasta, ragu. So it's a bit too early to slice it up. Normally I would leave it to rest, just I do with everything else, for at least half an hour, but I'm too curious. So as you know, I've used raw pasta. I haven't cooked it. Obviously with the baking process you cook the pasta, so I don't have nothing to worry about. What was different when you use fresh pasta compared to pasta that you buy in the supermarket is that the dish is going to be lighter. It's not going to hold as well as it does with dried pasta. And also, I'm not saying that fresh pasta is better than dried pasta. I think each to its own. But to be honest, to make a lasagna in about 2 hours from scratch, this result is quite good, and I'm pretty sure that even an Italian would be happy with this. They wouldn't say this is authentic, and it is not, but they would be happy with it, I think, at least if they are hungry. So next step is to plate up, and I'm going to try to do my best to keep the lasagna in good shape. See if I can manage. Again, if I would leave this to rest, then it would be much easier to plate up, but even like this, because I've done many layers, my lasagna is holding up and it looks yummy. At this point I'm just going to add some Parmigiano. Okay guys, I think this looks quite nice again. I used to work in Italian restaurants. In Italian restaurants we never used to use fresh pasta to make lasagna. This is something I have been experimenting in at my current job when I was head chef, and I was quite happy with the results. Something that you can do to make this fancy is to peel the lasagna, leave it to rest for about a day, then slice it up and then grill it, and that makes it even better. But to be honest, for an experiment, this is the first time I've done ragu in the pressure cooker, and I've made lasagna from scratch in 2 hours. I think that's quite, it's not impressive, but it's a very good result, and I'm quite happy with what I've done. And I hope that, again, this is, you know, all these videos that I do at home cooking is all about inspiring you to cook at home more. Cooking can be time consuming, and sometimes it's easier to order takeaway and do that if you don't have the time. But if you have a tiny bit of time, then do put the effort in and try to make homemade food, because it's worth it, because the flavors and the quality is going to be always better, at least in my opinion, than some takeaway or supermarket options. So guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. and I should see you on the next one.